guys, what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rise. We're back here at Walker Ford in Clearwater, Florida, and guess what? I have that one mid-size truck everybody's raving about. Is this truck right here. What is it? This is the all-new, totally redesigned 2024 Ford Ranger, but guess what? This is the Ford Ranger Raptor. But before we get into this supreme off-road muscle machine, let's talk about what's going on here. So the Raptor, we are familiar with the Raptor here in the United States. It goes all the way back to 2010 when Ford made an F-150 Raptor. Now it's interesting because a lot of people assumed that we would have a Ranger Raptor a lot sooner than model year 2024, especially when you look around other parts of the world that were getting Ranger Raptors, like Australia, for example. What's fascinating though is that with this redesign, they decided to go all in, double down, and make this Ranger Raptor. Now, what's fascinating is it's an interesting time in the mid-size truck segment because there's a lot of hot competition and there's a lot of redesigns going on. One of them in particular is that mighty Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro. So what I want to find out is this the best mid-size off-road performance truck ever made, especially over that TRD Pro? Let's go ahead, let's dive into our iconic silver, one of my favorite colors, iconic silver Ranger Raptor, and find out. Now what's interesting is, of course, when you see the Ranger Raptor, you're gonna get that sort of steroid intensified look with the big fender flares and lots of bulges. Now at the front of the business, of course, we're gonna have full LED lighting. So you're gonna see we have our performance. How do I know it's performance? It says it right there. Performance LED projector beam headlights, LED turn signals, and that C-shaped LED daytime running lamp. You'll notice that this has the graphics package, and I like the way the graphics package sprinkles a little on the hood, more on the side, and even some on the tailgate. The regular F-150 Raptor or the Bronco Raptor doesn't do that, and I kind of like that little extra touch. Now, as we work our way down, you'll see that fender flare within the sheet metal, but then of course we have the extra flare because we have larger wheels and tires. Dropping it down, we do have LED fog lamps and a functional air curtain. And then of course we have, I can't even damage it, these stamped steel front bumpers on this thing that's gonna help take a beating. Now, as we come across the front end, believe it or not, this is only 1.5 inches narrower than a regular F-150 truck. So if you look at a regular F-150, say an XLT, this mid-size truck is just 1.5 inches narrower than the full-size F-150. Of course, the F-150 Raptor is way wider than this thing. Now at the front of the business, you do have a forward-facing camera. I like the way you have a camera washer, very important when you're off-roading. Whenever you go Raptor, they don't put the blue oval, they spell the name Ford out within the grille, flat black with that functionality. Love the boldness that it adds. And then as we work our way down, you'll see even more functionality in the lower portion. I am gonna have to zonk though these areas. These are fake. I wish they would have just opened this up. Sort of like on the front bumper of the F-150 Raptor. There's a lot of openness. I wish that they would have opened that up because I feel like that's just gonna not take a beating very well when you're going off-roading. If you want to know about ground clearance, you have over 10 inches of ground clearance. Of course, stamped steel protection underneath the belly of this Ranger Raptor, protecting the oil pan, the fuel tank. You're going to have your recovery tow hook so you could yank those Toyota Tacomas out of the mud, out of the dirt. And like I said, iconic silver just really fits this perfect. Now, as we rise up, like the way they kept the hood, made it bulge, but also added some functional heat extractors on the backside, that flat black. Love the way they have that within the hood. And this front end of the Ranger, period, looks 1,000 times better than the previous gen. The previous gen was all rounded. I like how high the hood is, and it's nice and bold. Now, as we come around the bend, what are we working with wheel and tire setup? So when you go Ranger Raptor, you're gonna get these flat black off-road wheels. Love the V-spoke design. We have 33-inch BF Goodrich KO3 tires. So this is the real deal. This is where you have that massive sidewall protection, and you're also gonna have the massive blocks here within the tread so that you could grapple just about anything, just like the Gracie family when it comes to grappling on the mat. Now, when it comes to wheel travel, 10 inches of wheel travel at the front and the rear of this vehicle. And what's great is at the rear, it does use a Watts linkage. That's gonna help with overall stability and control, but definitely digging the wheel choice. I'm gonna have Steven kind of zoom in and show off the suspension. You have that upper control arm, nice aluminum there with your custom springs and the shock absorber, that fender flare looking great. And then of course we do have the side fender vent. Would have been nice if it said Raptor here, but functional, which is great, and they look good. You do have color matched on the mirror caps, 360-degree cameras, and your LED turn signals. When we drop back, like I said, this is a mid-size truck, so this goes up against the Tacoma, the Colorado ZR2 and ZR2 Bison, the Canyon AT4X. Those are the competitors to this Ranger Raptor. You do have your stationary running boards with the Raptor name stamped in, so that's specific to the Ranger Raptor. Two things I gotta zonk. Now, this is, I guess, a good idea. I just don't like the way it looks like it comes from a J.C. Whitney catalog. This is where you could lock your doors and keep the keys inside. So let's say you go down to the beach, Clearwater Beach, not too far from here, and you're gonna run your jet skis. You don't wanna have your keys on you. That would suck when those keys get wet. So you could actually lock them and use the code here. I don't know, I wish there was a cleaner way to put it. I do like the way it's body color because it used to be all black, and that really stuck out like a sore thumb. The other zonk is that freaking thing up there. That antenna's gotta go. I wish they would just put a regular shark fin antenna. It just, I don't know, it looks like an RC car. Not really my favorite. What is my favorite though are the graphics. Ford usually does a fantastic job with the Raptor graphics, especially on this Ranger Raptor, and how it balances nicely with the iconic silver and that black within the Raptor name. You can see our steel box frame, the suspension on the back. This does not have a rear anti-roll bar, which is interesting to help with that suspension travel. And then just like up front, the wheels, the 33-inch tires, and the wheels, just in case you're wondering, are 17-inch in diameter. You're looking at 285 on the width and a beefy 70 series sidewall. And then as we swing around back, just like up front, we have our full LED lighting. Nicely done, turn signals, the whole shabam. Love the way you have the stainless steel tips on the dual outlet exhausts. Give us a little bit of extra sound. You see the Raptor badging and the Raptor graphics comes onto the tailgate. And then when we lower this, nice soft release. You can see we have our bed liner, our manual sliding rear glass window. You have all your power hookups, 12 volt and a home power source. Lots of tie down locations. And then, of course, when we drop it down to ground level, you're gonna have your recovery hooks on the back and you have your tow receiver. And one thing to notice is how they mounted the rear tire, the spare tire, nice and high to give us that perfect ground clearance, especially for approach and departure angles. But why don't we go ahead, let's pop the hood and talk about horsepower in this Ranger Raptor. All right, guys, we got the hood popped. You do have a prop rod, but most of the mid-size truck class has a prop rod, so we're not gonna zonk that. A little bit of Ford performance action, because remember, this is a true Ford performance vehicle. I wanna kinda tell you a little quick story. So if you saw the movie Ford versus Ferrari, which I know a lot of you did, they focus obviously on the epic battle between Ford and the GT40s and the Ferraris at Le Mans. What's fascinating, the reason why I bring this up is because those Ford GT40s, there was a nickname for the exhaust headers in the exhaust system. It was called a bundle of snakes because it looked like a bunch of big snakes intertwined within one another. The reason why I mention that is because underneath the hood, you don't have a bundle of snakes. I'm calling it a bundle of worms. You have tubes, hoses, wires going every which way direction, no actual engine cover. Let me know if you think that should be a zonk, if you'd rather see an engine cover covering up some of that modern engine. But here's the good news. No 4-cylinder turbo. We have a 3-liter twin turbo V6, 405 horsepower, 430 pound-feet of torque. Just so you know, in the mid-size truck segment, that is the most horsepower hands down, and the most torque. It's made it to a 10-speed automatic transmission, 0 to 60 in about 5.2 seconds. Top speed is governed to 107 miles per hour. This thing will do the quarter mile in 14.1 seconds at 98 miles an hour. MPG 16 in the city, 18 on the highway. The vehicle weighs 5,372 pounds. And yes, you could tow with your Ranger Raptor, but you can't tow as much as a standard Ranger. You're looking at 5,510 pounds. Remember, standard tow rating is over 7,000 pounds. We do have a bespoke steering rack system that is unique to the Ranger Raptor. 2.5-inch Fox live valve shocks in this beast. We got the Watts linkage, and like I said, no rear anti-roll bar. And if you're wondering about rotor size, brake rotor size, you're looking at 12.2 inches all the way around for your brake rotors. But why don't we go ahead, let's fire up this EcoBoost V6 and hear what it sounds like. All right, guys, we are inside this 2024 Ranger Raptor. This is almost the way, this pretty much is the way I would spec mine if I was getting one, especially the color and the graphics. Now, I know you're probably saying to yourself, well, Joe, I've been looking at Toyota Tacoma TRD Pros, that new one with the hybrid setup. They want like $66,000 MSRP for that. How much is this Ranger Raptor? Is it more? It's got to be more. Well, guess what? It's not more. So if anybody tells you that the Ranger Raptor is more MSRP-wise, it is not. This one has an MSRP of around $58,450. Let's see what you get when you go Ranger Raptor. To the door panels. I love up top that Alcantara style material with the stitching. Very classy. I even love the way they did that textured honeycomb. It's almost like snake skin finish on the trim there. That's gray. No gloss black. Soft material on the armrest. And if you look down below, you'll easily be able to fit, I would say, 2 off-road croissants and a Yoo-hoo to wash it down. Now, going from the door panel to the dash, we got the B&O sound system, more of that beautiful Alcantara material. The orange accents give it that little pop of color that's all about Ford performance. Of course, you got to have your Raptor Twinkie tray, and it is here for a baker's dozen of Twinkies. Plus, you got your secret glove box compartment up top. This is where you could keep all your garbage pail kids. So if you have stacks and stacks of garbage pail kids, you could keep them in here until you're ready to sell them online and retire on the proceeds. Slide on in. What do you have? 12-inch portrait style. I do like the way it's integrated into the dash. I'm not a big fan of portrait style infotainment system screens, but I am a fan when it's integrated nicely into the dash. You got the AC vents with that cool design. This actually mimics the grille design on the front of the Raptor. Plus, you got your full touchscreen, Sync 4 system. More cameras than what they have at some, security buildings when it comes to camera security. Pretty good resolution. The resolution they worked on a little bit. You have all your different driver assistance setups. You could go back to home and go into your towing, wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, and you could even sketch. So it's nice that you have these different things. And what I want to do is I know a lot of people haven't seen Steven, so I'm actually going to draw him here real quick. So this is, if anybody wants to know Stephen Flood, usually he has some kind of hat on. So there you go. There's Stephen Flood if you wonder what he looked like. But working our way down, you do have your AC controls, dual climate, which is nice. And I like the way they give you knobs. Look, we can live in a world where you have knobs, or you could do touchscreen if you want. You do have heated seats and a heated steering wheel, no ventilated seats. Let me know if you think that should be a zonk. You do have wireless charging, USB-C, USB-A, and a place for 2 boxes of Tic Tacs. This is where you're gonna keep maybe some pens, some pencils, or in my truck, I would have some Slim Jims and some Jolly Ranchers. This guy right here with the leather and the orange stitching is gonna control your 10-speed automatic. 2 cup holders, you do get the real deal Raptor key fob. Doesn't say Ford on it. Remote start. You got your different drive modes, which I'll show you that when you come over to the business side. Your 4x4 system, hill descent control, off-road mode, the whole shabam. Look how soft this is. Charmin approved. And then you lift this up. You got a nice little area here. This is where you're gonna keep your change, if anybody even uses change. I remember back in the day, this was important because if you went through a toll booth at a bridge, you would need change because sometimes they're unmanned. Or I remember when I was living in Orlando, going to University of Central Florida, there were a lot of toll booths in that Orlando, Sanford area. And either you're running them or you keep some change. You do also have a 12 volt and you have enough room in there, I would say, for 3 Florida oranges, which Florida oranges haven't been so good lately. Most of our oranges come from California. Just saying. And then the seats. They almost feel like Recaros. The leather style material, the Raptor name, the orange accents, the nice bolstering, electric assist for the passenger, electric assist for the driver. I guess the one big zonk is at $58,000, no sunroof. Not a standard sunroof, not even a panoramic sunroof, but you do have 6 auxiliary switches, get a winch, get an air horn, lights, all that siren, and have it all hooked up right here where you can go boop and really blast somebody. But why don't you get over here? I want to show you behind the special Raptor steering wheel in this Ranger Raptor. All right, guys, business time behind the wheel. You do have 3 memory seat settings. So if you're crazy enough to let somebody borrow your Ranger Raptor, you could have them set up their own memory seat settings so they don't screw up your settings. You do have a nice, tasteful aluminum sill plate with that Ford Performance badge. Pedal box is a little sad. Where the heck is my aluminum brake pedal, aluminum throttle, and aluminum dead pedal? This just looks like a regular Ford Ranger, and I am gonna zonk that. You do have your seat controls, as always, easy to get to, especially the lower lumbar. These seats are phenomenal with a capital PH. They hold you in nicely. They don't squeeze you like a vice grip, and they look pretty darn good. Steering wheel, you got your 2 different types of leather, the perforated. You have the bright orange top dead center when you're doing your off-roading, so you know where the steering wheel is at any given moment. The Raptor name nicely stamped in, flat black on all the switch gear, and then you do have metal magnesium paddles on the back of the steering wheel to go up and down that 10-speed automatic. It is a manual tilting and telescoping steering wheel. And then you have that beautiful 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster. Clear graphics. You got your R mode, which allows you to set up all your preferential settings. And you can see the little R in the bed of the truck, kind of cool like that. And then, of course, you got all your different modes. And the graphics look like Gran Turismo. They look like Forza. I actually prefer over all of that Ivan, the Iron Man Stewart Super Stadium off-road racing game back in the arcades. Those were the days. But I love the graphics, the fonts, all the important information. And you even have some Alcantara on the hood of the digital gauge cluster. But why don't we get into the back seat? Because I want to go on throttle in this twin turbo V6 Ranger. All right, guys, back seat time. And I really feel like the Ranger Raptor is definitely bringing more room than the Tacoma TRD Pro. Lots of passenger space back here. I even like the way they did the seats to mimic the ones up front. You do have these nice large pockets. I tell you, right now I'm obsessed with pita. You could put easily 5 packages of pita. And where I get my pita from is from Whole Foods. They have this whole wheat pita. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. You got that nice leather style material all the way around. You got a nice little cubby here for 2 small containers of hummus. Hummus and pita go together like PB&J. USB-C, USB-A, and a home power source. I'm 6 feet tall. I had perfect room up front. I got perfect room out back. I'm not even close to the headliner. You do have, Charmin Soft on the armrest, 2 cup holders. And then you do have that manual sliding rear cab window. But now it's time. If you're ready, I'm ready. Let's go for a little spin in this Ranger Raptor. All right, guys, we are inside this 2024 Ford Ranger Raptor. I have it in sport mode. and I have the exhaust tuned to Baja, just so that it's a little bit louder. And if you're ready, I'm ready. On throttle, here we go. Nice. Love the sound. So much more personality than really any of the other mid-size trucks. I mean, that's hands down. And it's not just the twin turbo V6. I mean, the way the exhaust sounds, the finishes in here. I mean, it truly feels like Honey, I Shrunk the Raptor version of the big boy Raptor, of the F-150 Raptor. Getting to that 12-inch infotainment system is well within reach. I like the fact that you could use R mode to set up those certain features that you want, and then when you're ready to rock and roll, when you're at your off-road spot or whatever, you just hit R and it automatically goes into play. But the fact that you could be in sport mode, but also have the exhaust in Baja mode, which is louder, allows for a louder sound, is nice to be able to really vary how you have this truck set up. Now, what's great is that driving-wise, visibility is fantastic. Of course, you have all the Ford safety features, nice large side mirrors. The dash has all the important information that you need or want. And these seats are freaking superb. Now, of course, you're gonna have to make some compromises. What are those? The compromise is gonna be with the tires. So you have those KO3 off-road tires, and of course, those are gonna make a little bit more road noise. But what's great is that when you're in sport mode, I like the way the 10-speed, when it's downshifting, it's almost like it's blipping the throttle on each downshift. Really keeps the chassis nice and smooth. Of course, you have that Fox live valve technology that's doing the suspension tuning as you're going down the road within every nanosecond. You have those large metal paddles behind the wheel to go up and down that 10-speed automatic. And just really nice to see things like the wireless charging, the USBs. Everything is very, very well laid out. Here we go, on throttle! I love how this truck accelerates. It's very unassuming to people. And the fact that you're on these 33-inch off-road tires and yet still has that nice, quick acceleration. And it's fascinating because remember, a V6 is becoming extinct. It's going the way of the freaking dinosaur. And the fact that this not only has a V6, but a twin turbo V6 is absolutely phenomenal. Now, going down the road, it's actually very comfortable. Super smooth, not bouncy at all. I think that's where the Fox suspension really comes into play. You're not getting a lot of you know, bounce and a lot of body roll and stuff. It really does a great job tuning while you're on the asphalt jungle. And then of course, when you go off-road, then it's gonna make those corrections so that you can handle the off-road stuff like a champion. And that's the thing that you gotta remember, is that Ford has run Rangers, F-150, Ranger Raptors in the Baja races. And of course, they've been doing it for years with the F-150 Raptor. But I really love the work that they've done to the 10-speed automatic. That bespoke steering that I was telling you about is very, very good in this Ranger Raptor. I mean, watch when we go into this left-hand bend here. I mean, feedback is great. And this isn't a corner carver by any means, but it still handles very, very well. And the steering is very precise. It allows you to really be able to do the things that you need to do, whether you're on road or whether you're off road, very, very easily. And then the fact that you got lots of room, lots of headroom, lots of shoulder room, it's really smooth, it's comfortable. I mean, this really elevates mid-sized trucks to another level. It really, really does. But let's see how she handles in another left-hand bend here. Actually, let's go straight. On throttle, here we go. Changing the game. Look at this. Really, really nice. Very poised for an off-road truck. It's very maneuverable. And obviously, the things that make it maneuverable on-road are just gonna be even magnified when you're off-roading. But I'm glad that we were able to finally go on throttle in one of these Ranger Raptors. I think for the price, when you compare it to all the other performance trucks out there, when you look at a Tacoma TRD Pro, when you look at the Nissan Frontier Pro 4X, when you look at the Colorado ZR2 and the ZR2 Bison and the Canyon AT4X, for the money, there is a lot of freaking truck here when you're comparing apples to apples. But let me know what you think about the price. Let me know what you think about this truck. We're gonna get back to Walker Ford and wrap this one up, so I'll see you in a split second. Guys, it's been another great day in so many ways here at Walker Ford. Definitely want to thank Frank Walker, Weston Walker, Tracy, and the rest of the crew getting us access to one of their very first Ranger Raptors that has not been pre-sold, but definitely loving this truck. This is one that I would want to add to my garage, my driveway, but let me know what you think. Is this the best mid-sized truck ever built? Especially when you look at the Tacoma TRD Pro, the new one. Let me know down in that comment section, but if you're new to the channel, you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Ladies Rides family. Need to give it up, Stephen Flood Photography. He loves trucks, he loves cars. That's why I have him on the payroll, is because of his love for anything with 4 wheels and an engine. Plus, his pretty darn good camera skills. But I don't like to say that too much because we don't need Steven's ego to swell up any larger than what it already is. But thank you, Steven, for all that you do. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.